Today's number is 1. Yesterday, we launched avatcg.com and we had our very first sale within 30 minutes. Even that has taught me so much already. Today, I want to talk about that first sale, the lessons you can take away from it, and everything else that I think this reminds me of. But before I get to that, my name is Ryan, and I started a TCG business with over $1 million in debt. I'm here to turn cardboard into cash and move from dire straits into distro. Every day, I go over the ups and downs of running a TCG business and what I accomplished on the previous day. So what does this remind me of? When I was younger, when I was about 20, I lived in Italy. I went to a place called Cinque Terre. I went for a very lovely hike, and across that hike, I saw a little green gate next to a garden looking over the cliffs, across the water on a beautiful, beautiful place. And I said to myself as a very young man, if I ever meet somebody, this is where I'm going to ask them to marry me. Well, come to find out, in between that point and when I did actually ask somebody to marry me, the little green gate apparently, I think, got washed away in a mudslide somewhere in between that and 15 years. But that didn't stop me. I didn't know it at the time. And 15 years later, I took my then girlfriend on a engagement trip to Italy, and I had everything planned. Everything planned. I mean, where we were going to be each day, what we were going to be doing, different events, different things, right? Because I don't like to just relax on travel. I like to go do things on travel. If I'm going to relax, I'll just take a nap at home. So we had everything planned, Gantt charts and project files and everything, except for how to get from the airport to the Milan train station, because I thought that they were that close, like on top of each other, and they were not. So I stumbled right out of the gate the minute we landed in Italy after, I don't know, 15 hours of travel. And it was so like, oh man, is this how the trip is going to go? I got to tell you, it was stressful, but we accomplished it. And no matter what, the entire trip was lovely. And that's sort of what reminded me of things when I was talking about this with friends yesterday, that we had an initial stumbling block. We got this first sale. It was amazing. My heart was racing. I was like, man, this is working already. And then I noticed something that was off. The shipping settings were wrong, and I don't know why. I still don't actually know why, but I think I have a base understanding of the why. And I want to give a shout out. DJ from DJ's Poke Center has been extremely helpful to me. He's been sort of my local Brian from Pokene, right? He grew up in the space just a few months ahead of me. He's local-ish to me. We've gotten to talk a few times. I think the world of him. I'm very excited by his success. And then when I reached out and said, hey man, I just need a little help on the shipping settings, I want to make sure I don't screw this up. Now, mind you, I still did, but it wasn't DJ's fault. He was kind enough when I was literally going through the problem. I reached out to him, was like, man, what did I do? He's like, I think you didn't do this. And here I was on my mobile, and I just didn't know how to make it happen. So I just said, you know what? It's going to be fine. If there's anything wrong with the shipping settings and more orders come through today, it just is what it is. The focus today is to be with the family. Thankfully, and I would say there was no additional orders yesterday. There was an additional order today. And I fixed the shipping settings, what I believe, last night before I went to bed. And it was still just a little off. So what we've done in the meantime, while I maybe perfect this, is all shipping setting is tied to one rate. If it's anything below $1,000, it's going to be $9.99 to ship, and anything above $1,000, it's going to be free until I can kind of get the nuance right. But in the meantime, we had our first sale. It was exciting. It was an Ascended Heroes Pokemon Center ETB. I'm so excited because what I did was I turned this kind of net negative of, man, I screwed something up, into a total positive, which is I've reached out to the buyer, and now we're going to meet this coming Friday so I can shake his hand and say thank you to him in person for being our first buyer. And that's something I want to kind of riff on with you all a little bit, which is even when things are not quite right, enjoy it, right? Enjoy the fact that you can find a way through it. Enjoy the fact that you can maybe make the best out of it. And now I get to meet our first buyer in person. And that means the world to me too. Something I wouldn't have expected if they had, bought from Oregon or something like that, which I wouldn't expect. But if they had, I wouldn't have been able to do this. And I would have just lost a little money on shipping, and that just would have been the way it is. But in this case, it was a net positive, right? Now, today, when the buyer bought, it was a Phantasmal Flames booster box. Equally exciting, happy. It's going to a local person out of the Maryland area. And my shipping settings were a little better, but not perfect, right? In the end, I'll lose a little bit of money on shipping there. But you know what? Overall, I'm up. In fact, what I checked this morning was, because I kind of know where I bought at, I'm looking at around 15% profit margins on these things, which is great. This is sort of what everyone has talked about. You end up, after sales, taxes, and all the other things, you end up with about a 10 to 15% margin. But you don't want to get chopped in half on price on the shipping, which is again what DJ really focused me when we were talking through things. So thank you to him. Thank you to the first two people who bought on my website. It means the world to me that you're putting your your faith in me, that you're helping to support me. And if you're one of those who both view this and purchase from me, thank you very much. And I look forward to fulfilling those orders in the coming days. We'll have certainly those first 2 orders out the door. Now, in the meantime, what are we working on? Well, like I said, yesterday we were pretty hands off from a business perspective. We were doing mostly things with family. And while I'd like to talk a little bit about what we typically do on the day before, yesterday's big thing was that we launched our website. We also got a big sale come in from our TCG player, which we had launched at 1201 as well. It was 45 cards, great profit margins because it's bulk, and everything was at the floor price that I wanted it to be at. I'm looking forward. I think I'm at that one package, that 145 card order, already paid for, I want to say 4% of my total inventory now for TCG Player, which is something like 14,500 cards. But one order, it already took care of about 4% of that entire inventory cost, which is great. I think I had Claude and I worked through this, and it was something like 18 more orders of this net effect, and the entire inventory is paid off. And I like to know that, because then everything after that is free money, right? Like it's the actual profits. And while I know people can look at, well, this part's profit now, for me, while you still have costs hanging over your head, it's not total profit. Now, I labeled today's video something like Pokemon will pay off your debt, because it's true. It will. Bronze God's talked a lot about this, how he worked his ass off for months going through all this kind of bulk, listing everything, 100 card orders, making sure everything got out the door so that he could pay off a large sum of debt. Now, comparatively, I have more. I do just, I think, functionally have more debt than at least what he's publicly disclosed. And that doesn't make me better. It makes me dumber. But one of the things I'm going to focus on is how I'm turning these profits into a debt paying off machine. I believe it was Phantom just recently talked about how he's going to take a certain percentage of all profits to neck down some of his student loan debt. Now, most of my debt, almost $750,000, is actually in student loan debt. Now, why is it that much? It's because I went to school for 10 years. I have a law degree and a master's degree and a couple certificates, and I traveled to do these things and all sorts of. Was it the smartest thing? No. But what I've often said is I have no regrets on everything that led me to my family. I have regrets that I've done and made mistakes I've made since I've met my wife and had my family, for sure. But I cannot look back at those things that led me to where I am today with any angst, with any regrets, because ultimately it led me to a place that I'm happy in. Right now, I am the happiest I've ever been. And I have this thing that I'm building that makes me even more excited, more happy. And so what we're going to do is we're going to turn that bucket of money into, understandably, pushing as much into the business as we can, but taking a little bit out, not for me, not for Ryan to go spending and doing everything else. Ryan lived that life in the past. I am going to be using it to pay off the debts that I've accrued over time. And that's something that's exciting, to know that this business that I'm building is going to help me kind of reclaim my past, reclaim the mistakes, but ultimately push me forward in the long run. Some of you who know me locally know that my wife and I have this arrangement. I call it hush money. She wanted to see sort of a benefit to the family of what we were doing here. And so she calls it hush. She calls it rent. I call it hush money. And so, the rent's due every month, and this month is no different. But now I get to say that some of those things are paid out of the business. Some of these things are paid out of what you all are doing with me in bulk, or whether it's my bulk buyer that I work with on the back end, or the people that are purchasing through the website. All of it is helping to help my family, to help pay off debts. It's all something that is helping me. And I am not a nameless or faceless entity at the end of it. You're helping a real person. And so I thank you from the bottom of my heart for trusting in me to make sure that the products that you're buying from me are in good order, that I'm delivering value, whether it be on the Discord or on my personal website or on TCG Player, on eBay that's coming, any of these things. You are helping someone. And so thank you for that. Today and tomorrow, we're going to be fulfilling orders. We had another separate order that came through on the Discord, just a bulk requirement that we were going to finish up. And then we're setting up for our pop-up on Wednesday, which is great. We're always looking to buy cards. In yesterday's video, I talked about how I was going to be doing a promotion in the month of July. Every 12,500 cards, common cards that you deliver, I will give you a 151 bundle. It's hard for me to part with those. I love them dearly, but it's one of those promotions that I want to engage in, because I do really want to push that 500 or more thousand cards of bulk each month. And this is one of the things I thought could engage that. We'll see how it works. One of the other things that I know that we're going to be working on is showcasing a little bit more of what we're doing. So today I wanted to show you what the website looks like. This is our website. And one of the things I want people to know is we have this reserve list where you can join the reserve list. And what that ultimately does is you then have access to buying certain things on the website that you would not have had access to otherwise. You see right here how it says reserved. If you're not part of the reserve list, which means you're not signed into the Shopify, you're not signed in, you cannot buy this without being somebody who's entered into the reserve list. Again, that's just, it's one, it's a level of security. And two, what we plan to do is this is where people's credits are going to come into play. If you are somebody who trades in your bulk or trades in your sealed or whatever it is, and you earn a credit with me, let's say that credit is $600. You could use this access and I will have your account credited with X amount of dollars. And you can now purchase from the reserve list. That way, again, somebody who wants to do a publicly facing, let's just say there was one on the standard, right? That is somebody that just anywhere in the world they can buy from me and for the cash value, and then we move on. But again, for those who I want to incentivize to continue to do bulk, continue to do trade, this is something that we're specifically driving action towards so that you will have access to something that not everybody else does because you're almost semi-partnered with me as an individual. Eventually, we will try and run a rip and ship. Obviously, not everything is going to be ripped and ship. It will break my heart to rip and ship, hey, Pokemon Center Ascended Heroes PKCETB, but maybe one day we do that for the people that want it. You can take a look at the rest of this site. One of the things I do want people to see is that you can link over to our TCG player account. So if you have playables that you'd like to get to, we also have access eventually to our eBay account. There's nothing listed as of today, but we do have that if you're looking for the singles and slabs that will eventually be loaded in the next couple days or so. And then finally, if you want to sell me your bulk or you want to trade in a collection or sell your collection, you can go here. You can see our rate cards, vintage. We take accessories. We also have our rate cards for collections. Everything can be done here. We've already had one person do a submission for bulk through that. I applaud them. Thank you very much for doing it. It helps me register things, and we will continue to work forward in that way as well. Now, if you're on the server, we still have the way that you can do that on server, but this is so that anybody who maybe is just publicly facing and not on server, you have that access. We also have a way to join the Discord, and I would recommend that you do so. Like I said, we've got a lot of tools and toys for people who are going to be looking for the shiny cardboard at MSRP all day, every day, whether it be in the wild or online. It doesn't really matter. We're here to help you. And so there's a split focus of the Discord's really to try and help people to hit at MSRP all day. And then if you still need something in the market space, you come here and I'm happy to help, whether it be through trade or bulk credit or just cash, and you're looking for something like a Ascended Heroes PKC ETB. I really want to make sure that this is the place that people come to, that you feel the vibe is that you're welcome to this place, that this is your collector's hobby home. And so if you have any recommendations along the way, I'm happy to take them. If you have any reasons to reach out to me, whether it be in the comments below, in the DMs on Discord, do so at any point. If you want to sell me a collection, now you have a way of doing that directly on the website. If you need anything in between, I hope that you'll reach out. As always, be good or be good at it, and have a great day. We'll see you next time.